Welcome to the Introduction to Human-Computer Interaction course. I've spoken to you about the syllabus and the webpage. I'm going to go through some of these lecture notes, but I wanted to just let you know that a lot of the lecture notes come from, the lecture notes and my ideas come from many different sources, and one of them is Scott Clemmer, who I've taken a lot of these the concepts from my videos are from his videos as well, and some textbooks that are listed on this slide as well. The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman is a book I love, and I just think it's a fun read. So as I'm talking and as the course is developing, you'll see thoughts that are coming from myself as well as things I've gotten from different places. Human-computer interaction is an interdisciplinary field, and it's not only computer science, but computer science, psychology, and many other fields that all come together with the goal of making computer systems useful and usable. Now, I love this quote, and I really like Don Norman, and you're going to find that I have a lot of quotes from Don Norman, especially in the beginning of the semester. So you would need an engineering degree from MIT to work this, someone once told me, shaking his head in puzzlement over his brand new digital watch. Well, I have an engineering degree from MIT. Give me a few hours and I can figure out the watch. But why should it take hours? I have talked with many people who can't use all the features of their washing machines or cameras, who can't figure out how to work a sewing machine or video cassette recorder, who habitually turn on the wrong stove burner. Now this is from, of course, not a current one. It's from the Design of Everyday Things, which was written many years ago. But the points are the same. You can all think about cameras or even your phones and the features that we haven't even figured out all of the things we're able to do. And things should be obvious. We shouldn't have to have an engineering degree from MIT to be able to figure out the technologies we have. Now, in some of the other videos, you'll see we've spoken about the measuring cups and good and bad measuring cups. And the measuring cups, users were asked, well, how can I improve the measuring cup? And you can say, oh, well, the handle sometimes gets hot or slippery. But if you're actually observing someone, you can see that what they're doing is stutter measuring, like they're looking down and going up, and you can watch some of the videos to see how are we really pouring in a measuring cup, and then you'll be able to see how can we have a better measuring cup that we can actually look at from the top, so we don't need to have this awkward motion. And this is where OXO modified the design as well as Pyrex. So in some of these slides, and we're going to do a lot of this next week too, we're going to talk about good and bad design, but I wanted just to give you a little bit of an introduction. And the beginning of the course, we're going to talk about design in general the next 2 weeks. And then we'll go into visual design like websites. And so this is just to get you in the mindset of thinking about design. I want you to think about it, look around in your everyday life, and send me an email if you find a horrible design. And guess what? It might end up in my slides next week. So or next semester. So if you come across any bad designs, think about this course, because that's what I do. I look at designs now all the time and I'm like, this would be great for my HCI class and to show them. So just look around and see what you think are good and bad designs. We can have these bad doors where you're like, which side do I push? And the good one is there's only one side. It's obvious where you push. But in the bad design, you really don't even know which side you're supposed to push. And I posted a link to this video for you to watch on a funny video for bad doors. And so watch the videos I post on my page. Stoves, I used to have this horrible stove when I was a kid, and the words were actually rubbed off, and there was like no way to know which burner controlled which stove. So I just thought it was just very fitting. And you can see in the next slide ways to have better design, so you don't have to guess which is the front, back, and which is the back, which is the front, which is the right, which is left, which controls which. You can have better designs. Now, basically, designers, developers like to blame users and say, well, they're idiot user. But the point of this course is going to be not thinking about our idiot user but thinking about ourselves as the designers and being like, oh, well, that's our mistake. We can't just say the humans made mistakes. Well, why are they making mistakes? They're making mistakes because the designs aren't good. If we're struggling with our designs, then it's not the user's fault, but the designer who designed it. And we need to think about, and we're going to start thinking in this different way of not blaming people, but actually thinking about how we can improve designs so that people don't make these mistakes when they use our design. So our lesson for our user is going to be, it's not your fault. When people have trouble, we're going to think of a solution. We're going to think of how could we have made this design better. So assume all possible errors will occur, because they will. We want to minimize the chance of error in the first place. And we want to be able, if someone will make a mistake, and it should be reversible. It shouldn't be the end of the world. Like, for example, think of your own mistakes on your computer. If you make a mistake, you don't want to be like, oops, now I just lost everything I've ever done. But you should be able to undo. You should be able to backtrack. So errors will occur. We want to minimize them, but we also want to know that they're going to occur and make it reversible with consequences that are not so disastrous. And the other thing we're going to keep in mind throughout the semester is accessibility. We're going to talk about all users. So we're not just making something for one particular users, but every user who could be a potential user. And this includes older users, users with disabilities, and making designs that are accommodated for everyone. So when you guys are going to be having projects, and it's going to be a group project, and you're going to be talking about your users. And when you're thinking of users, you really have to think of, who is your users? How old are they? What is their gender? Are they college students? Are they from a specific ethnic background? Like, who are they? And that's going to be fundamental in design, is knowing who your user is, so that you can make an appropriate design for them and test it on potential users. Human-computer interaction professionals are often called in too late. Nowadays, a lot of companies know to get them earlier, before it's already designed and built, and then you're like, oh, come in, too late now. But get them involved in the process early so that we could build it right. And this course doesn't involve computer programming. We're kind of the step beforehand. We're going to be creating prototypes. We're going to be talking to users. We're going to be doing all the steps that are earlier in the design process, in order so that someone could, in theory, at the end of this course, you could take what we've done and then you can code something, and you'll be coding it right. So our goal is to be early in the process, and that's really when HCI professionals should be called in the beginning of the process, as you're designing, your application, whatever you're designing. That's the best time to call them in, right at the beginning of the design phase. I won't read this whole thing to you, because I know you don't like long videos, so you can read it on your own. But this is kind of like what I feel like is the goal for the end of the semester for us. And I want you just to keep thinking about design wherever you go. And I really want emails that show me bad design or good design, because we tend to notice the bad design and not the good design. So send me emails, think about it. We'll talk about it on the discussion boards as well. And you can watch these videos if you want. I didn't put these as links because they're really very optional. But I just love Don Norman and his videos, and I think you'll appreciate them. So I look forward to a wonderful semester and many more videos and topics and conversations.